tonight's the Frank trade show.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Hair of the Dogcast. This is a podcast about video games and beer, but today it's just beer and beer. We might talk a little bit about Halo if I can squeeze it out of Jackson, but
We'll see.
we're part of the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network. Check out all the other amazing shows. My name is Brad, and we're joined by the beautiful, as always,
Hey, I'm Josh. Remember me? I'm back. It's been a little bit.
Josh. It's so good to have you back.
I know.
Josh is allergic to cats, so he can't come to my house.
I can't record with these guys anymore.
I'm allergic to cats as well.
So we're moving the podcast to Eagle Park now.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Monday nights, I think this room's free. So
Yeah.
There is better beer here than at my house, I promise you. At least fresher beer. And we have a very special guest today. We have the co-owner, head brewer, all-around great guy of Eagle Park,
Keep
Jackson Borgardt.
howdy. How's it going?
Jackson, thank you so much for joining us. We've talked about this for a couple years now.
Yes. It's been an interesting couple years. So I apologize for not.
Busy couple
sooner.
years.
Yeah, it's been a few
Sure.
couple years.
Yeah.
If anyone,
do you feel a lot older than you are since you're?
I do. I feel like I've aged a decade. That's how I feel. But in a good way, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
you have something to show for it.
It's true. That's very true. Yeah. We're sitting in our lovely tap room.
Right.
We're sitting in one part of one of the biggest tap rooms I've ever been in. There's an upstairs, there's a back
State of
room.
the art. Top notch.
Futuristic.
Yes, that's what people think of when they think of Eagle Park. They think futurist.
Right.
You guys are always on the cutting edge of beer. So,
Gotta be, right?
yes.
Definitely. Yeah, we definitely try, that's for sure. Always trying to think of the next thing.
Eagle Park has, since I moved to Milwaukee back in whatever year it was, like 2017, Eagle Park carried a big reputation as being one of the coolest, best craft breweries. I'm not going to toot your horn too much. Your beer's fucking good. And that was like one of the spots that I kind of wanted to get to know right when I moved here, just from reputation. And I wanted to kind of just spend some time today talking with you about the story of Eagle Park, how it came about, and where it's going, and then we'll talk about seltzers and ice creams probably as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So the brewery started in 2017. January 28th was our opening day.
What was your first location again?
So it was on First and Beecher, which is in Bayview. Lincoln Warehouse is the name of the building. It was a bread factory, distributor, a million things over the years. It's over a 100-year-old building, and it's now a mixed-use space. I mean, there's everything from, chocolatiers to glass blowers, artists, studios. We used to record music, all of our albums in our band called Eagle Trace there, and that's kind of how we heard about the space. And
I did not know that. You guys started off in that space with music before you started a brewery.
Yeah, so we recorded 3 EPs before we even opened up the location there, and that's kind of how we heard about it. That's how we found out about Enlightened. And the space that we took over was Enlightened Brewing Company's space, which they had opened up, I think, 2.5 years prior. And they were moving down to the first floor, and that vacancy kind of, at the time, we were looking for bigger spaces, but we figured it was a smart move to go small and to test the waters before we went big and failed. So
Right.
a 500...
Almost there.
Yeah, a 500... And that's the thing. Is
The next step.
It was cheap rent. It was on the second floor of a warehouse, 500 square foot brewery. I was brewing 12-gallon batches 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And we opened up a tap room next door, which was like a metal worker kind of artist, welder, did a lot of cool stuff. And she was nice enough to move up to the 5th floor and allow us to have the space next to us. And that's when we opened up that tap room. I think our occupancy was like 49 people. And you had to ring an intercom, a locked door with a blue light above it. And that was the only way you found us. There was 0 signage, so it was just all word of mouth.
There's something to say about that really small word of mouth. You have to buzz in, walk down what looks like a sketchy hallway in some warehouse, and then you arrive in, paradise. It's like almost a mirage or something.
It is interesting.
Like, how long were you brewing beer before you guys opened up the brewery? It's a big jump.
I was actually thinking about it the other day because the years have kind of all blurred together. I believe I was 23 years old, so that would have been 3 years, 2.5, 3 years before we opened up the brewery. I started home brewing, so I didn't have a professional background at all. And Max and I, my older brother and partner, kind of discovered craft beer together, drank a lot of it together, and we both kind of decided maybe we should start home brewing. And
did it click right away, or were there a lot of growing pains?
It definitely clicked for me right away. I was pretty fortunate, but most home brewers, they start with kits. So it's malt extract, and you mix it with water.
Here's the IPA kit, here's the lager kit.
Yeah, and it's just like a syrup that you mix with water, add hops, cool it down, put it in a glass carboy, and then ferment it away, and hopefully it works. I decided right off the bat that if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it right. And we went all grain. And before that, I'm big into cooking. And at the time, I was wanting to go to culinary school. So I'm definitely very ingredient forward and enjoy that process, that creative process of creating something from nothing. So that's why, before we bought the equipment, I spent probably 2 months just reading and researching how to brew, recipes, how to formulate your own recipes, how to take something and tweak it and adjust it, so that by the time I actually had the equipment and we brewed, I had already written 5 or 6 recipes that I wanted to make.
Nice.
And the first beer that we did, I want to say it was probably, if I had to guess, September maybe, that year I started, and that would be, 2014, 2015, somewhere in there. And I was really big into like black IPAs.
A style that doesn't get enough love. I used to work for a brewery that made a fantastic black IPA. I was a delivery driver, and we used to bring back so many cases because it wouldn't sell and it would go bad, and it was one of the best beers we made.
I love them. And one of my favorites was always New Glarus's black IPA. What was that called?
Blacktop?
Blacktop, I believe.
Road Slush, one of those ones.
I think it was Blacktop.
Okay.
And then Lakefront's, one of their earliest Black Fridays was a Imperial Black IPA.
My friend still has a bottle of that. I'm like, well, what do you think it tastes like? We joke about it, like they still have it. I'm like, well, it's not going to taste like that anymore.
We opened up a Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA that I had aged for, I think, 8 or 9 years on a podcast one time.
But I feel like that would turn into just like a barley wine at that point, right?
I mean,
it was. It just had a big boozy flavor.
Basically strong ale, barley wine-ish. Yeah. And a beer like that holds up fine.
It says ages 5 to 10 years, but I actually waited. It's one of those things you put in your closet and just hope you forget about it.
You can age anything as long as you want. Don't let people tell you what to do.
The biggest thing is those older school, IPAs. The dry hopping was so low.
Yeah.
That unlike today, where our dry hopping rates are much higher, you get those cardboard flavors so much faster. Those oxidized hops.
Freshness is key, yeah.
Whereas like these black IPAs, we just made another black IPA. It's only, I think for us, it's only like 1.5 pound of dry hopping per barrel. I mean, that's going to last a hell of a lot longer fresh than like Goon Juice or like Citra, what you're drinking on the dock. I mean, that's 5.5 pounds per barrel. 4 months from now, that beer is going to taste different. It's just
probably not as good. I think it's some breweries hold up pretty decent. I noticed Topplings hold up pretty well in kegs because we had a random Sioux keg come in that was 6 months old, and we go, we usually send it back, but we're like, we don't have IPA backups, so we went and tried it. I'm like, it actually tastes great. Like, what the heck? It tastes really good still.
It's all processed.
But in a can, not the case usually.
Yeah. I mean, process is so important, and the thing that the bigger breweries have that the smaller guys don't is that packaging quality. It's the better can fillers, the better keg fillers, and then just the process of eliminating as much oxygen as possible. Oxygen is the number one evil in all of beer. And the more oxygen you have in your final product, the faster it's going to go bad. And it's double as fast with IPAs. So that's why you can have a lot of beer from breweries that you're like, wow, this is even browning in the package. Is just really poor package quality. And a lot of that's not even necessarily the brewery's fault. Some of it's just the equipment.
How quick did you guys start packaging once you got into the Lincoln warehouse? Were you doing 4-packs like almost right away?
So one of the reasons we did what we did was we wanted to contract brew. And at the time when we opened the brewery, it was weird. It was weird timing in the industry. It really wasn't like how it is today. It was still, hazies weren't really a thing. They were sporadic.
Gosh, those are some old times. Hazies weren't the thing.
You're talking like 5-ish, 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, they were on the East Coast for sure. They were around.
Were you doing those originally?
No, not when we opened.
Okay.
And so the whole concept for our brewery, it was weird, very opposite of what we were doing now. Maybe we've hybridized it a little bit, but we thought about steady core beers, quality, consistency. Let's just keep rocking what we have. It was Setlist, it was Loop Station, it was Immortal Soul. Setlist is not what it was compared to what it is today. It's completely different beer. We've adapted it to the newer vibes. It is hazy IPA. In the original, it was kind of like a West Coast IPA with maybe subtle, juicy notes to it. It might have been leaning slightly that way, but it wasn't by design. It wasn't like I was trying to be an East Coast brewery. And so we were contract brewing Octopi in Wanakee, and we were brewing like 50-barrel batches. And we had Cass, who was our younger brother, 21, our head of sales, who'd never done it before.
Send him to the wolves.
Yes, and he was delivering and selling at the same time.
As a young brewery does, there are 3 people that wear every hat. And yes.
And at the
your
time,
car quickly becomes a work vehicle.
Yeah, and well, it was we were smart enough to get a van.
Okay.
That Cass we still have. We just finally paid off. That Cass would destroy. He'd be like, it's a delivery van. It's supposed to get destroyed. Meanwhile, we're like, paying like $500-$600 a month and making no money, and we're like, Cass, we can't keep destroying this. They might be taking this from us soon. Yeah, and that was kind of the vibe. I mean, the beers were a lot more old school. I mean, we were definitely an IPA forward. We've always been IPA forward, but it was mainly West Coast IPAs. I mean, our first stout that we released was just a Russian Imperial Stout. It was like 8%, no adjuncts. The only adjuncted dark beer that we did was Line Check, which we still make from time to time. And it's cacao nibs and vanilla, and we thought we were super cutting edge at that point for doing that, because it wasn't like vanilla porter, from what is it, Breckenridge Brewing. We had a cacao nib, so like we're one better now, and it was a very different time.
I can't even remember what the landscape was like back in 2017 in Milwaukee here. As far as what craft breweries were around, there's probably about a third as many as exist today.
Wait, what?
As far as how many craft breweries were in the Milwaukee area.
Oh yeah,
there's more now.
That brewery, that year that we opened, I want to say it was like 15 breweries opened that year, within a year and a half.
Yeah, that was the year.
And we were like right in the middle of when all those breweries were opening. Third Space opened 4 months prior to us. Good City opened up 2 or 3 months prior to them.
1840, was that after you?
1840 was around, was three months ahead, 2 months ahead. And that was when they were only opening one Saturday a month.
That was crazy.
Or one weekend a month.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Doble at Explorium was a year old when we opened up. We were, there was a lot of Raised Grain, I think, was like a year and a half before us.
And now I turn around and there's 3 new breweries open.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up.
And most of the breweries that are opening now are smaller, kind of local, very neighborhood type breweries, which is super cool compared to.
And you also got to start somewhere.
Yeah, well, I honestly, I think that's
expensive.
What's great is the local breweries. Less of a let's sell everywhere and grow. Let's do it low and slow. Let's control what we're doing, which is kind of what we wanted to do when we opened up at the Lincoln Warehouse.
Yeah, it's great for every neighborhood to have a little spot to go and drink some local fresh beer.
Well, and you can't grow too fast sometimes. You guys, when you had your You started the hazies and the tropical slush era, like
Yeah.
Every day is the
That-
tropical slush era for me, just so you know.
Well, and that's what changed it for us. So like right when-
you guys had lines. I was part of that, man. I was before, I popped in by you guys. Me and Alex did. We had you on our list for a while, and then we finally just made the venture. And
Because it is a venture. You drove like
well, we're an hour away.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
Muskego to me is about an hour away too. So, but Milwaukee, yeah, it's like I don't go out there all the time. I actually do late.
now you do now because you Bucks tickets all the
I
time.
I go to every Bucks game ever. Yeah.
You were in
yeah.
the lines.
So and then like you guys probably had a smaller window of when you guys were open or something possibly. But you guys are fairly.
we're
new.
making a lot less beer, that's for sure.
You guys hopped into the building. What was the brewery before you?
Like mines.
Yes.
Sour Brewery.
I went
Yeah.
to Like Mines and like a year before, maybe 6 months before you guys opened or something. And I didn't know anything about you guys at that time. And Like Mines, this is an empty building. I go, oh, they're not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
That's a tough model, an all sour brewery.
But I just remember when me and Alex had your Nelson Hazy,
Yeah.
and that was like, what the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
this is this quality in Wisconsin. Like, no way. Like, we loved the brewing project, and it was hard to get your hands on some of that small batch brewing project. It would be out the shelves in Madison area really quick. And then Untitled Art was pretty new.
Yep.
Through Octopi, and they claim to be the first hazy, juicy, and that was like a big hype thing. And yeah, can't deny they're delicious, but and then discovered your guys' stuff, and shortly after that was you guys did the hazies. You guys were getting some. We're telling all our friends and everybody we knew in the beer game. Like
If you don't have Eagle Park, you ain't shit.
yeah, right. It kind of quickly spiderwebbed at that. It just went down the.
Yeah.
And then your tropical slush, like you said.
Oh,
you guys
man.
had lines like quarter-mile long or something.
every weekend, yeah, it was nuts, and that was kind of like when we moved to Hamilton.
Bottoms up too.
Right before we'd opened Hamilton, we'd started to do some of the more trendier styles. We started changing up our kind of how we went about making beer, and that's when we started getting slammed at Lincoln Warehouse, and we were running out of beer consistently, and that's when we decided. Through a friend, we heard that they were closing, and we were able to snag that space.
So you didn't have to like compete with other people for it. You kind of knew it was going to be open a little bit.
One of our partners was very good friends with one of the partners in that business. So we kind of got an inside track on them wanting out. And at the time, we were looking for spaces to expand to, and it kind of just made perfect sense. Actually, we did take the space out from under another brewery, an Illinois brewery, who's looking to come up here.
Care to share names?
I won't. But they weren't very happy, let's just say, because we came in with a cash offer and they didn't. And it was great. And that's when we started to really lay on hazy IPAs, the heavily fruited sours, and the pastry stouts, and yeah, we had lines every weekend. We were selling out of beer. When we first walked in there, and we were cleaning that facility because it was a traditional kind of more sour brewery with wild bacteria. We had to gut the whole facility, bleached everything, replaced like 800,000 gaskets that need to be replaced. I mean, every tank got cleaned 10, 20 times before I felt comfortable using it.
That is interesting.
So you did
Yeah.
reuse the tanks though.
What?
You did get you got some of the tanks from them, or like?
Oh yeah.
Inherited all of
half
it,
the
yeah.
tanks we got from them. The brew house we got from them, and yeah. So I had to clutter and completely go over that whole facility.
Was that a 7-barrel system?
It was a 7, and I remember looking at Max at the time, and me only brewing on at that point we had upgraded to a 1-barrel. We felt pretty good at that, which is a lot better than 12 gallons at a crack.
Yeah. It's a lot of time.
Yeah, and I looked at Max, and I'm like, how the fuck are we going to move all this beer? 7 barrels of beer? Like, this is a lot of fucking beer.
You were so young.
And then I was like, Max, what if I'm not good at brewing? Like, well, I can handle the 1 barrel like just fine, but me on the
the scales
making
matter drastically.
making 7-barrel batches of beer, I don't know if I can handle this. And it was people who know me know I'm a little bit of an anxious guy, so Max was like, you're going to be fine. And it took me a batch or two just to dial in the system, figure it out, and then it was kind of our opening weekend was right about now, 14th of April, 2018? 2018 is when we opened up Hamilton, and that was when we did our first joint beer with 1840, and that's that first collaboration and that new facility, and that weekend was absolutely packed, and we sold more beer than I'd ever thought possible that weekend. And then that was when Max and I kind of looked at each other after, and this was opening weekend, so we were, drinking about a bottle of whiskey a night, and we looked at each other like, all right, we're going to be okay.
Back when we were kids.
Yeah. And we just looked, we were like, okay, we're going to be fine. We're going to be able to handle this, because, the overhead was 20 times more than Lincoln Warehouse. Everything was more intense. We were running a full kitchen, which we have experience in the industry, so we were comfortable, but now it's on our head, different than being just like a manager.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a pretty terrifying time.
You guys are still pretty young then.
Yeah, I was 26 years old when we opened up Hamilton, and
awesome.
Now I'm finally brewing on a big boy professional system, if you will, a 7-barrel, and it was terrifying. But after that weekend, I think it really took a lot of pressure off, and we finally just like locked in, and that was when me as a brewer kind of really was able to just open up and do whatever the fuck I wanted. And I think that's what kind of helped grow that brand was having a little bit more comfortability with more tank space and knowing that, all right, people are going to buy my beer now. I feel comfortable with myself. I'm just going to fucking go and make whatever the hell I want.
I'm lucky Wisconsin likes their beer, so
yeah. And
we'll drink it, right?
People just kept showing up, thank God. And Max never really put any constraints on me as far as like styles or production. He basically just let me go off. And
he believed, man.
So
and it worked.
Do most of the recipes, they all come through you? Do a lot of the beer names, the ideas, is that a lot of a discussion between you and the other owners?
Group effort?
Depends. So names are all over the map.
I sent you a list one time of like 40 names when I was very drunk. I think they were all good.
I'm sure they were amazing.
The golf ball whacker guy?
The golf ball whacker guy, that is a good name.
Okay.
I think we definitely have to bring that back onto the table for new beer. But names are very all over the place. I'll come up with a bunch. Max will come up with some. Cass has. Jake has. We've had employees name stuff. So namings are all over the place. Recipes are pretty much through me.
Okay.
As we've kind of progressed, I've definitely allowed staff to have a little bit more say, but at the end of the day, kind of all roads go through me as far as new products, even on the spirit side. So I am very particular about what is made, and I've had a hard time letting off the reins a little bit on as far as recipe development.
Sure. I don't like anyone else to touch my computer when I'm doing editing for podcast stuff.
Yeah.
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 It's your baby.
Yes. Yeah. And it's always kind of been that. And because it's always been my department, and I've really had no oversight as far as like my other partners or anything, it's given me a lot of control in a way that probably I shouldn't have had, but it worked out, so it's fine. But I think as we continue to grow, that'll slowly keep changing.
With a 7-barrel system, were you pretty much always able to get all the ingredients or the equipment that you needed at Hamilton?
It was really tight, so equipment-wise, no, we were very limited in space. For anyone who's back there, it's
a beautiful location.
Yes, yeah, and it's a 100-year-old building. Again, it was the garage for the Gloon Tannery, so there's a lot of history there. There's even rumors that because that whole area was pretty much a dead zone because of the smells of all the tanneries that were on either side of the river there. That Al Capone used to stash cars there on the way up north.
I'll confirm it just for fun.
And apparently, so I've heard this from like numerous tenants, and then the owner that said that there is some evidence out there that has happened at least a couple of times, but I don't know. If you actually look in the concrete in the tap room, you'll see oil stains on the floor where cars were parked.
There's so much character in Hamilton. I love that location, the natural lighting, and
I have a special place for that place.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
the room in the back is a little limited though, as far as brewing equipment and everything.
Yeah, I
And
mean
it's not that high either, right?
No, and so we were pretty much limited to. At the end there we had 2 20-barrel tanks, which we've brought over to Muskego since, but. I mean, with the canning line operating and brewing and cleaning tanks and transferring, I mean, you were nuts to butts the whole time. I mean, there was 4 of us back there, and it had to be like a pretty synchronized dance to make it all work, so we're not like constantly butting into each other. Anytime we'd have to move grain out, we'd have to move pallets to be able to get it out. Getting grain into the building took, we didn't have any automated, it was pallet jacks, and we were getting 2,000-pound pallets of grain, and we're having to push it up the hill.
I've been there, man.
I remember hearing
it sucks,
stories.
but it's fun to think back on, maybe a little bit.
Almost every week when you guys are really busy, like some of you guys just look totally wiped out. And you're like, the cannon. We don't know if we're gonna have beer because the cannon line needs work. I don't know.
It was always
we're promoting that it's getting released still. And
and there were so many times because we were so tight on space, production.
So where did
everything?
Where did you get your cannon line? Did you buy a new one or?
When we moved into that space, we bought a new one.
Okay,
and that was the first time we'd ever actually started
always
packaging.
had a fun story, like we got it from this brewery, that got it from this guy that. Bought it from
a guy in the alleyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know how we both knew it was some guy in an alleyway. There's a guy selling canning lines back there. Hey.
I had to kill a guy, but hey, we got a cannon line.
Yeah, it was. We'd heard. I don't remember how we found this canning line, but they were in Michigan, and we heard decent things. It was small footprint because that was about all we could. We had to hand feed cans on, hand feed cans off.
Oh yeah.
It was but it was. For the size, it was fairly fast. It was like 23 cans a minute, 24 cans a minute.
Have you used that canning line
yes,
before?
Yes, Brad, you've been on it quite a few times.
You rode that all night long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and you'd have to be on there all night long.
Sometimes we didn't get a lot of beer out of it all night long.
No, and when it early on, it was great, but but by the time we decommissioned it and sold it, we'd put almost 5 million cans through it.
Beautiful.
Between 2018 and 21. So in 3 years, we put 5 million cans through it. And when we sold it, we had to take it. We were nice enough to, because we don't like selling used equipment without it. I feel comfortable selling it because I don't want them to get a lemon. So we got it refurbished at the manufacturer, and they stopped making that model a couple years ago, but they were nice enough to refurbish it. And when they looked at the count of how many cans, they were like, "How many cans did you put through this fucking thing?"
You're like,
5 million.
You know who we are?
Well,
we're Eagle Park.
Well, but they haven't had a single piece of one of their canning lines do more than like 2 million, 3 million.
Really?
So they were like, "I've never seen this many cans."
They
through
probably
our
love
machine."
seeing that it went that long.
And,
you know.
I mean, by the end there, we got so good at rebuilding that fucking thing. It was,
sure.
Yeah.
We probably rebuilt it 5 times over with parts and equipment because you were running it that much, things just fail.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very, very interesting time. We'd have people canning while brewing. Dave, who's still with me, he's our production manager. He'd be pasteurizing cans while pulling them off the line and cooling them and then putting them in the cooler all at once, hoping that cans weren't falling off the canner.
Yeah.
So it was a very intense time. It was actually a really fun time for us because just the excitement around the brand, and I'm not gonna lie, it felt cool. You felt very cool to have that much
product
and love, towards our brand. And
seeing a line out of the brewery every day.
It's
every weekend that you release something is
don't
awesome.
remember the release, but yeah, I just remember one going all the way around the block and then all the way around that block, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I was coming every other week probably myself, grab a 4-pack or 2 of hazies, picking up for my friends in town, Watertown, and
it was amazing. And
we wanted to see you guys flourish,
And that was the thing, is we had so many people who felt that exact same way, that wanted to support us. And yeah, it was definitely like the golden era for us of craft beer, at least for us, because it was an intense time as far as making sure we had product always and getting it out and dealing with that constant craziness, right? But at the same time, there was just a level of what's the word I'm looking for? satisfaction, I guess, at the end of the day of your job.
Sure.
Knowing that when you got home, yeah, you were dog-ass tired, but, you got the love that you put in back. Which not many people do get that love of what you put into it.
Yeah.
You actually got back, and seeing people come up to you and going, this is one of my favorite beers I've ever had. I'll buy a case of this.
Yeah.
And seeing that line week after week, I mean, yeah, it was a very good feeling.
You can't quantify that, having somebody say that they love what you do.
Yeah.
It is
only so many people can do that.
Not many people. Yeah, and that's a very cool thing. And
it's rewarding.
We are very fortunate that we get that. And that time especially between 2018 and end of 2019, I think were two very amazing years for us.
How quickly did y'all feel, all right, this is something bigger than this, that we need to start thinking about the next step?
Yeah, who pitched Muskego?
I think so. We always wanted to be
a juggernaut,
a bigger brewery.
Come on now.
I think anyone who knows us, I think, knows that we've always continued to just keep pushing. We've never really stopped.
That's why, one of the reasons it's exciting is you guys are pushing the limits, pushing the boundaries.
We never really sit down and go, all right, let's chill out for a couple of months. We're always thinking about, all right, what's the next thing we can do? And so I think early on, I think it was probably halfway through that opening year that we kind of quickly realized that what we thought was like a 5-6 year, because when we moved out of the facility, we were like, all right, this is going to last us 5-6 years. Like 6 months in, I think we kind of figured out, okay, this is going to last us maybe 2-3 years at most.
Every craft brewery that I have worked for, they're like, this new thing will last us forever. And it's like 6 months later, like, we need to do something now.
We need some black milkshake IPAs.
Yeah.
Stat.
Things just grow so fast in this industry right now. Like, there's room to grow. You want to grow.
It's kind of
especially in that age, those couple of years was that
so much
huge growth for everyone in craft beer, and that's why we were like, all right, let's do it. We grew up out here in the New Berlin area, like 5 minutes up the road, so it was something we always wanted to do, was open up a tap room out here, just because it's a very underserved market.
Yeah,
and we wanted, at the time, we were like, all right, we're gonna need more beer, so we need a production facility,
a big space.
And rent out here is a hell of a lot cheaper than downtown Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So out here, there's dock doors, which are most brewers would know how amazing dock doors are, as opposed to drive-in doors and the things that we deal with every day at Hamilton.
Oh yeah. I've used a lot of pallet jacks over there, and
it's rough. It's being able to just take it off a truck with a fork truck is just a beautiful thing.
You make it work.
Yes,
you show up a little bit early, and then you're really sweaty, and you pour a beer.
Yes, but it's the simple things of being out here in Muskego with dock doors and just it's lovely.
Was there any apprehension? I'm sure there was, about moving from this small thing that you guys understand and it's just functioning so well to, it's a big step. How big is your system here?
Yeah, how big are these tanks now?
Yeah, so it's a 20 barrel brew house. So about 3 times larger than what we had.
It's just that jump of operation. Literally every aspect of everything is just pushed to limits, stressed, changed,
and up until we opened up this facility, we'd kind of always, what we laughingly joked to ourselves as Vulture Park, because we'd always just kind of moved in off of something dying or decaying or leaving. So when we moved into Lincoln Warehouse, Enlightened left that space. So we were able to move into a situation where it was kind of already set up for a brewery.
At least, though, Vultures seem to feed on the dead. Enlightened's still doing great.
Well, right, absolutely. Enlightened's amazing, and I wish them nothing. They're awesome guys.
But it's
but we just
Vulture seems a little more menacing. You guys are just opportunistic Eagle Park or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just
the
with
happy
the Eagle
birdies.
and the Vulture, kind of just birds and whatnot. But yeah, we moved into that space, and then Like Minds went under, and so we were able to take over that space, and it was pretty much set up for us. So we spent very little money actually invested into that facility to get it going. We spent more money over the years to add on, but then when we built this facility, it was purely on us. This was a box. It was a 20,000 square foot box.
You know how much anxiety that would cause me? Literally being able to look at floor plans for the entire facility. This is huge.
Yeah.
And all right, where are we going to put the kegerator? Like where the tap lines go? How many tap lines do we get? Just those questions I could think about for forever. And you have to design this whole brew house, and it's a mammoth. It's
Well,
huge.
the scariest thing's the money part, but
All of it.
It took a year and a half from the time we wanted to grow in that like mid 2018 to the point where this facility was, 2020, early 2020 when we were getting close. So from trying
Perfect timing.
Yeah, to try to find this facility, to get all the bank notes, to get everything designed, to construction starting, it was about a year and a half. And it ended up being about 2 years by the time the tap room opened. And this place was fully functioning from the time we started looking.
Did this place open during COVID, was it? Early COVID, and you had to line out your door with cars?
Yeah, so we...
For like 29 miles far.
There was.
Is that how that
It was
went?
that long. I
It
was
pops
there.
in my head right now.
Yeah, it was a very fortunate time to be a company that spent, almost $4 million opening up a facility, to not having a tap room finished, and, the brewery being barely finished, and not knowing if you're going to get your permits in time. So we kind of saw it slowly coming early March. There was whispers of things going on with COVID and everything, and so we were kind of nervous, but we're like, all right, we're just going to keep doing our thing. And the back, we kind of told guys, like, get on this, get the brewery finished. And we kind of put a hold on the front tap room, just because we knew, like, hey, just in case we need an operational brewery.
Produce beer, sell beer.
Well, and what's nice about this place is it's also a distillery.
Yes.
And you guys were able to not only take care of your staff and the company by making hand sanitizer, but provide a much needed thing for everyone.
Yeah.
And that was great, because I worked for Eagle Park for a while. For listeners who didn't know, clearly I loved it, and I put in my 2 weeks notice on my other job a week before COVID started.
Yeah.
And then my first shifts was like selling sanitizer in a parking lot, and that was
In
an interesting
alleyways.
interesting brewery experience. But one line changed for another, because you guys were providing something that people needed, and it was also just such a smart move to like make sure that your staff could continue to contribute and be around. And
it was a very difficult time. I mean, to be honest, those are definitely the dark ages of Eagle Park's 6-year life.
opening a new giant establishment.
Yeah. I mean, so like, this was all coming down the pipes, right? Mid-March rolls around, they start talking about shutdowns and all this. And I'm on the phone with, the DOR trying to get our brewers and distillers permit. And they're like, well, we're still not able to process it. We're getting delayed. And they're like, we're going to be shutting down soon, so we don't know when we're going to be able to approve this. And I'm like begging with the DOR. I'm like, if you guys don't approve this permit, we're done. We're going under. Like, we're gone. Because at the time, we're leasing this building. And so all the equipment, everything, was a loan, right, through a bank. But the construction, because we don't own the building, we couldn't get a loan for it. So that all had to come out of pocket. So we were basically using, revenue coming from Hamilton, all the money
just to feed
fund and finish construction. And when our tap room closed, the money shut off. So we weren't making any money at Hamilton, and we had bills to pay here. We had we were half constructed.
Yeah.
So half of the construction was paid.
Were you still brewing at Hamilton at the time?
Right up until it shut down, yes. And so we had, we owed over $1 million yet on construction, no money, and we're begging for our permits.
Bradley's in a parking lot making a crowler for someone.
Yeah, trying to figure out what the hell we're doing. And when everyone shut down, I remember Max, Jake, and I think David and Kurt, we were sitting on the couch, the old lounge area at Hamilton, and we were drinking beer. and I think Cass was there too, and we were just looking at each other like, what the fuck are we going to do? And then I was reading at like 3 a.m. An article that the feds allowed hand sanitizer to be made by approved distilleries with an approved formula that they just gave you. And we were still waiting on our permits here, so I'm like, fuck, hopefully this gets through quick. Yeah. And I remember shopping, and everyone's frantic at a grocery store when I got the call from the DOR granting my permit.
I'm using organic toilet paper.
Yeah, I literally started crying in the middle of the grocery store because I was like, thank you literally kept us going.
Yeah.
And we started ordering sanitized, like truckloads of GNS, which is basically just, ethanol. And we made our own hand sanitizer based on this recipe, and we had all of our staff who was comfortable working. We were filling, on a 10-head gravity filler, and we were blending it all day long. I think we ended up making almost 60,000 gallons of hand sanitizer, and not only was it awesome because we were able to help. I mean, we were sending truckloads to New York. We were sending truckloads to California, Texas.
I think
you helped small businesses in South Dakota because I made sure they got taken care of.
So it was really nice that at that time there were a lot of companies gouging the shit out of people, charging $75 a gallon.
Yeah.
And we kept our costs. I think we were charging like $20 to $27 a gallon, and not only did it, it helped, but it also helped us in that we were able to pay for our construction, pay all of our employees. We didn't have to lay off a single employee during COVID, which was awesome. And we were able to just keep going. And with all that, there definitely were a lot of scary times. I mean, sitting up, above us right now is our mezzanine. And I remember many nights with this half done tap room. The mezzanine was done. Concrete was poured at least. And we would just sit out looking over the brewery because there's glass up there, and we would just drink a case or two of beer and bottles of whiskey, and we would just get hammered, have our wives pick us up, and then be like,
luckily close to where you live.
Yeah, they were sober. And we'd just be like, I don't know what else to fucking do. I mean, anxiety through the roof. It was a rough time, but thankfully we got through it. And, we were fortunate where there are a lot of others that weren't. So I know, like Josh was saying, we had lines out the door when we started releasing beer finally. I mean, they had to shut down traffic.
Bomb Pop Slush.
Yeah, Bomb Pop Slush, Bowie. Basically Max looked at me and just said, release all the hits. He said, all your bangers, just bring all the bangers back, and
we're
that's
doing a greatest hits tour.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's basically all we did. We made Tropical Slush, Rocket Pop Slush, Bowie, Citra on the Dock, Goon Juice, Demon Haze, and everything that had a high rating that we'd ever made. Mm-hmm. That's what I made. So
you gotta do that.
Yeah, and
you
it was
did
great.
that. Yeah. Oh man.
Spaceships,
magic swords,
intergalactic empires,
dead gods,
and creatures from beyond the moon.
What mad universe could contain all these fantastic visions?
What Mad Universe is a bi-weekly podcast
Delving into the misty origins of sci-fi and fantasy, pop culture and genre tropes.
Take a cosmic trip on What Mad Universe podcast, now on the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network.
Today's show is brought to you by EPOS Gaming Audio, with a comprehensive lineup of both wired and wireless headsets, gaming amplifiers, microphones, and webcams. EPOS has everything you need to experience the power of audio. Like their H6 Pro lineup, which features 2 versions, an open or closed headset. The closed headset allows you to tap into exceptionally detailed audio and seals out ambient noise, while the open version delivers natural high-fidelity audio with an incredible soundstage. Both headsets include a magnetic detachable microphone and a sleek design that has no wild RGB configurations, just good design. Listeners can save 15% by visiting www.eposaudio.com/gaming and entering code EPOSFRIEND15 at checkout. That is EPOSFRIEND15 at checkout. Moving to the bigger brew system.
Oh yes, sorry, we had
No. But as a brewer, you have to just scale up recipes. Is there a lot more consideration? How do you manage quality control going from you used to be like the 1-barrel guy to the 7-barrel guy. Now you're way up here.
Was that a stressful situation, or
It was kind of a similar situation. The only nice thing is I got to design this brew house with our manufacturer.
Okay.
So I spent like 9 months looking at every valve, every pipe, all the programming I had a hand in, and we basically made this system the way that I like to brew beer. So there was definitely a little bit more comfortability when I stepped into this brew house as opposed to the last one, because I'd never brewed on it before. So when I got on the deck, it took me a brew or two, but I started to feel pretty comfortable pretty quick.
Yeah.
Just because I'd been staring at it for 9 months.
What was your first beer you brewed on the big system?
So we started out with Setlist, was our first beer that we brewed.
All reliable.
And we knew there was going to be scaling problems naturally, because when you're multiplying it by 3, but it's not a true 3. 7 to 20 isn't exactly a 3, but you get what I'm saying. Hop usage changes when the bigger you get. Bitterness becomes more expressed, so you have to use less. Our water profile is a little different here, so we had to make adjustments. So what I said is,
sure.
let's brew. I'm going to scale Setlist up. I know what Setlist is supposed to be. So based on how this brew goes, I should be able to make adjustments and hit other beers going forward. And I was incredibly low on my starting gravity, so it ended up being a pale ale called This Must Be the Place.
Yep.
So it was a set list that didn't hit gravity that we changed into something else.
what was the ABV on that one?
So set list, we at that point is when we upped it to 6.5, and I think it only ended up being 5.2 was that first batch, 5 or 5.2.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? All right, it didn't ferment the way it didn't hit gravity. So I'm like, I'm going to ferment it. We'll dry hop it a little different, and we'll create a brand new beer for it.
What beer style was the most difficult to scale up? Because just the wide variety of crazy different styles that you guys do here.
Hazies were definitely the easiest because we don't use a lot of bitterness in our beers, our hazies. So like, I didn't have to worry about that at all.
The trendy sours, more puree, more.
Those were fine too because again, no bitterness, very simple base beer. As long as I hit my gravity and my pH, I'm good to go because most of the fruit and everything I'm adding, I'm blending post and I'm playing with it. So I can fix things pretty easily for sours. It's the lagers, it's the light beer where you're having to be a lot more delicate with your hopping, your bitterness.
You're going to get very specific flavors out of that. They're going to stick out more.
And they're going to stick out like crazy. And so like beers like Loop Station, where even I was scaling up, lime peel, Fishies was definitely different. So yeah, anything light where there was some bitterness to it, and with these bigger tanks too, I was nervous about scalability. And some of those beers took me a little bit longer to dial in. Mostly the water profile was the challenge. The water out here is harder, and that definitely affects the overall mouthfeel and minerality to the product. So we had to learn how to basically offset that hardness for the lighter beers. Great for hazy IPAs, great for stouts, great for spirits, but when it comes to light beer, hard water is not great. So,
speaking of alcoholic water, you guys also make seltzer.
Yes.
Did you do as... I imagine you sitting there reading seltzer books and all of the science of seltzers and everything beforehand. Was there as much thought given behind that? What was
the inspiration to for the seltzers? Were you on that wagon right away? Because that was kind of out of nowhere, maybe 3 years ago, and it just blew up.
Everyone makes them now. They're they're in every
as
brewery
they should.
now. Yeah, it's a nice alternative. But did you want to get into the seltzer game right away?
It wasn't at top of my priority list for sure. I get it.
Speaking
everyone,
from one of the millions
standpoint.
of people that drink Ecto Cooler.
Yes.
I've been on construction sites, and they're like, yo, I was at this bar, right? There was this green thing. It was good.
It's funny. It actually comes up all the time.
Yes.
All over.
Everyone tries it because they see this nuclear-looking beverage, and they try, and they're like, it's actually good, but I don't want to admit it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, we've always tried to, with everything we do, we try to make it our own at least. If we're going to do something, let's at least have some fun with it. And we do the more traditional seltzers as well.
Yeah, those are great too.
Yeah, I mean they're good, they're clean, and that my biggest thing is
I feel less guilty about drinking a bunch of them calorie wise. Yeah.
Yes, and anything we do, I'm not going to release something unless I'm happy with it, and I'm like, this is what we're intending. I'd rather dump something, and with these seltzers, we were pretty. The clean ones were cool. It wasn't until we started playing around with more exotic flavors and getting a little bit more unique that I think they really hit, and it. These coolers, which I don't remember when we started releasing those, 21 maybe. Maybe it's been 2 years.
What year is it?
It's 2023 now. Yeah, it's probably 21.
21-ish is when we started playing around with, more aggressively flavored. We're adding, fruit purees, colors. We're playing around with sugar content, citric acid.
We're taking that healthiness right out of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So did your
It's about the
sour?
flavor.
So did your sour beer count fall? With the seltzers.
Sour beer has fallen off, I think, just naturally because of, I think the style has just, overloaded people.
People are getting soured out.
I don't know if it's necessarily the sourness. I think it's the calories. I think it's the heaviness.
The smoothie ones.
Like our lighter stuff. Our lighter stuff definitely sells really well, and there's definitely still a crowd for our more heavily fruited stuff, but it definitely has slowed down.
Yeah.
And
I've stepped away from them in a big way.
Yeah,
I have a while back. I enjoyed when Tropical Slush came out. When that thick boy came out.
I can still drink 8 Tropical Slush.
That was so good.
Yeah.
But
and they're good, but they're not.
I can't do it anymore.
People don't pound them like they used to. We used to have lines, out the door at Hamilton where we released these, and people would drink. I could see them drink 5 of them, at the tap room, and I'm like, that's so much fruit.
I always would have to change it up, and it's one of those things. I wish that here's where the canning thing, like the 16 and 12 ounce, really makes a difference to me. I think there needs to be a change in the industry for smoothies should be a 12 ounce.
Yep.
Triple IPAs should be a 12 ounce nowadays. Imperial Stout should be a 12 ounce if they're going to be canning. Unless you're doing a special bomber release, I get that. So that's one thing. That
I agree. I think 16 ounce, it became this, it's such a weird thing. It
it's
became
a
this trendy,
trend.
hypey, and I think it was because a lot of the East Coast, a lot of these East Coast breweries that had sought after beers, your Treehouse, your Trilliums of the world, your Bissell Brothers, they were releasing 16 ounce beers, and I think for whatever reason it became this trade 1 for 1. If I'm going to trade, a can of Substance Ale from Bissell Brothers, I want a 16 ounce can of this. I'm not going to trade for a 12 ounce can.
Yeah.
And I think some of that played into it.
Oh, sure. And now it's every really good craft brewery is focused on the 4-pack 16 ounce.
Yeah.
And that is what it is.
Weren't you guys one of the first to do 4-pack 16 ounce in Milwaukee?
Yeah, and we were doing 12 ounce when we originally
That's
had our
right.
line. It was all 12 ounce 4-packs.
Demon Haze, I remember that.
And
Demon Haze. How have we not mentioned Demon Haze once this episode yet?
yeah,
What a great beer.
yeah,
and
quite.
it was halfway through. It was halfway through 2018 when we were like, oh well, all these breweries clearly they're actually it was. We had people coming up to us saying, hey, your beer's amazing, but I'm having a hard time trading it for out east because they're all in 16 ounce cans and yours are in 12. They all love the beer, but they're having a hard time giving value, 16 to 12.
So I've dabbled a little bit, and if you use the proper priority boxes and all that, you can fit 12 ounce cans great in those.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that was the reason why we switched to 16 ounce cans, and a lot of the stuff now we've started putting back in 12 ounce cans, and I like the format 12 ounce way better too. I don't see why a 12% pastry stout needs to be in a frickin' 16 ounce can. I'm not drinking 16 ounces of that.
Even double IPAs, I'm at the point, I don't know, I love a double IPA. That's what I probably prefer, but I sometimes I want this one than this one. It's I got to make it count. I got time for one 16 ounce, or I could have done 2 12 ounce.
What's those last 4 ounces?
I can't do 32 ounce.
Yeah.
It's 2 16 ouncers. Welcome to the beer math episode.
Yeah.
But 32 ounces of beer is 32 ounces of beer. And
100%.
time is valuable, time is precious, and sometimes you can't. You don't want to slam them.
I always had those last 4 ounces too, because especially if you're hanging out there sipping, as soon as you get to those those last 4 ounces, it's warmed up a little bit, and I don't think hazy IPAs, cellar temps. I don't think hazy IPAs are should be drank that way, to be honest. So yeah, I don't get it.
No, I mean, I'd assume at some point there will be a change, like a correction, and like, I mean, this 10% beer should be in 12 ounce. I mean, it should be pretty common sense or logic to, especially brewers and
safety
and
too,
the beer nerds. But whatever, we'll see when that happens.
All of our barrel aged beer we just in the last year or so we put in 12 ounce cans.
I love that,
and I think it's definitely helped too. I mean, even from like a price point standpoint,
I would say that can help
because
both perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, I can charge. It's perceived. I think it's the same amount of money per ounce essentially, right? But
sure.
But it's a lower number overall, so I think people feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Paying, $8 to $10 a can for a barrel aged beer versus like, oh, I'm paying $14 to $16. I'll take two 12-ounce cans.
Yeah.
At least that's what we've seen since we've made that transition. Is people I think just feel comfortable seeing that lower number. It's like that gas effect where that's that tenth of a penny that people are like, oh, it's not $4. It's $3.99 and 9/10. So I'm good.
There's a lot of glory to that 12 ounce. It's like if it's a limited release too, if it's something that good and you want to have it more than once, like. If it's a limit of one bomber or a limit of 2 cans, like, I get to have it again, It's like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you want to have it more than once, but, and that beer is so good, there's a reason you limit it, and small batch goes over quite well usually. I mean,
we've looked for a time there. We've been looking into 8-ounce cans because I've seen a couple of breweries doing that, but the supply has been hard to source those.
Then also just the canning line, you have to like tweak everything.
Change it, yeah.
Oh, sure.
And that sounds like a mess.
Well, for a while they were making 8-ounce standards.
Would the 8-ounce cans be like the same width, but they'd just be shorter?
Yeah, they're just short.
Eventually, we're just gonna have like 4-ounce cans of this like little squat thing.
So my line was set up to be able to do 8-ounce standards, width, and so everything about my line was designed to be able to handle it because we can do 19.2s too, which we haven't done yet. But I couldn't find standards. Everything was 8-ounce like sleeks. And for me to do that on my line, I mean, it would take me like an hour and a half to do. And I'm like, on either end, right, set up and break down. And it's just
honing it in, tweaking it to like just be perfect.
And then I have to spend probably time, tweaking it once I start running normal cans again, dialing that back in. And it just didn't seem worth the effort.
It's not a drastic difference between the 8 and 12, but
it'd be cool.
You're talking those 20-ounce or 20% stouts. Then you're talking. I get that.
Which we haven't hit yet. I'm working towards it. Towards it.
Once you guys start making malt liquor in 40-ounce bottles, then I'm in.
Have they not done that yet?
In a way, yes. In a way, yes. Yeah. We did that mega ecto cooler, which was like 10%.
Basically,
so that's basically like
I think
essentially
Old English ecto cooler.
It's a little more tolerable, I'll tell you. A tangerine comes out in that awkward malt.
And that's been the crazy thing about ecto cooler and like these cooler beers that we've done.
They're big sellers.
They took off, and I when we came up with the clear stuff, they sold fine, like great in our tap rooms as opposed, just having that option to people that don't like beer. But then when we started coming out with these coolers, sales took off.
To get me to not drink a beer and to go to a seltzer, the coolers got me over there, where I would rather drink a cooler than a beer sometimes. And that's a spot I didn't anticipate seeing me in.
Yeah.
It hasn't won me over yet, but once in a while, if I'm full, it's not a bad fallback.
Yeah.
And you still want to drink.
I just don't like drinking like 3 coolers in a row. Then I feel it the next day.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We actually just brought in your mix pack at Drafty.
Nice.
So probably keep a rotation of that going in.
Oh yeah. Well, we're gonna start rotating some new flavors too. But yeah, cool. So like, ecto cooler started as a joke. I wrote the recipe in like 15 minutes. For Halloween.
Tangerine.
And that's how some of like the best music ever written was made. Just like, I wrote this in the car on the way over, and it's like, well, you made the greatest song ever made.
I don't think it's that, but
it's like
Bobby
iconic
Brown?
and it's good. Yeah, we'll talk about Bobby Brown.
But yeah, we did 2 barrels of it, draft only for Halloween, like in 2 years ago, and might have been 2 Halloweens ago. and we sold out of it immediately. So I came in, did another blend for that Saturday.
I remember this.
Sold out immediately again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
I think Josh texted me, get me a crowler of that.
Yeah. Since then, we went from that to now we're doing like 160 barrels a month of just Ecto Cooler.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing it.
It's one of the best-selling products that you guys have now, right?
Sadly, it's our number 2. It's sad and it's awesome because I'm happy that, I'll take the money too.
Yeah. Business is business.
And people are happy drinking it, so I'm good. But it's our second best-selling product now that we make. And it just keeps going. I mean, every time I'm like, all right, this is plateaued. We're going to start seeing a shrink because like the fad's over. And all of a sudden, Cass will be like, yeah, we're sold out of kegs. We need more. We're picking up more and more permanent. I've never had
Anytime
more
we throw that
permanent
on
lines.
tap, it's gone in a few days, probably.
The flavor's good. But obviously, the flavor's good. Otherwise, it wouldn't continue to sell. But it's color.
It's also light and a little sweet, not too sweet.
Yep.
So it's very drinkable. And you can have multiple and not just get like over sweetened out.
Someone sees it and they go, what's that?
I buy it for Carly.
Yeah.
For when I have my own beers, when I come home, I want to have a fishing for fishies.
Yeah.
And then I see an Ecto Cooler and I steal all of her drinks. It just hits the spot.
It's my brewers, my whole production team. After a day of work, if you didn't see at least 2 of them, if not 3 of them with an Ecto Cooler, I'd be shocked.
It's scratching my Mountain Dew Surge itch that I still have from being a kid. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we just came up with a new flavor too that we're coming out with summer. Our tentative name is Cabo Cooler.
Ooh.
So it is definitely it's a play on a certain Taco Bell Mountain Dew flavor.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it will be a blast.
Baja pun.
I've always wanted to go to Baja, Mexico. The whole region
just to see if they have that down there.
I went to a brewery in Orlando and they had a Mountain Dew flavored sour, and in the tap room they had a Baja variation. I forget what it was called. It was good. They were definitely on the hipster side of the Orlando brewing scene.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it was good though.
Can you nail a Dr. Pepper seltzer? I can't drink soda.
I don't want that.
I can't drink soda anymore, and I miss Dr. Pepper.
Science has gone too far.
I do like that.
23 flavors.
That's literally what we were joking about today. Is hard soda was a thing for a little while, faded away.
Did it fade away? I had never even got to see it.
I think
it was there for like 4 years, maybe.
Not Your Father root beers.
Jesse showed me an alcoholic Mountain Dew on Instagram not too long ago, and I was like, "Where the fuck?"
We tried them here; they were awful.
Somebody just made new alcoholic soda products. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they just started coming back. Like True, I think it was True or Bud Light. Bud Light came out with like a soda line again, and they because it was Henry's hard soda was like, and Not Your Father's came out, and everyone's like, "Oh, what the hell is it?" And it was so fake flavored, like it wasn't even good soda taste, right? Yeah. I don't know how you can fuck that up because it's literally sugar and the same flavors that you would use for the soda.
Yeah.
And not good at all. And that's when we came to the realization that like our cooler series is just like basically a brewery's attempt at making hard soda. Sadly. We realized that today. I was like, oh my God, you're right. We made hard soda.
And you made it well.
And we made it well. Well, at least it tastes good. Like, we had the Mountain Dew. We were just fucking around, and someone brought it in, the mix pack, and it's all sugar-free. So it has that, it's all like that aspartame. But it's, the worst part is you'd think, all right, Mountain Dew, if you're going to make a hard soda, you're going to do hard Mountain Dew, you're going to do Baja Blast, you're going to do Code Red, and you're going to do
maybe
like
orange,
Livewire or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
You're just going to mimic exactly what everyone loves about your soda brand. No, we're going to do black cherry. We're going to do watermelon.
This is black licorice Mountain Dew.
They changed the flavors completely other than the original, but they did it sugar-free, so it just tastes like diet Mountain Dew with shitty flavers.
Yeah.
Diet anything.
It was an easy win.
You had all these scientists and all this money behind you, and this is what you did.
Yeah. All you had to do was put more sugar into it.
I'm like, so people who drink Mountain Dew don't give a fuck about the sugar.
That's what I'm saying. You
And
put more, it'll sell even better.
And if you go up north,
It's true.
I know so many people. You see so many people at a corner bar up north drinking
At the
Mountain Dew,
Mountain Dew bars.
and Mountain Dew and vodka, right? I see it all the time up north.
Fuck a Mountain Dew.
Not since since high school.
I see it constantly when
Yeah.
you
It is the high school cocktail.
especially when you get up in
I
the
know,
Green
not
Bay.
mine, but
Yeah. I passed out in a Harry Potter film one time.
Oh, really?
It was-
this when you were a kid, or
It was Mountain Dew and vodka.
Oh, okay.
I was definitely old enough.
It was a re-screening.
Yeah. Because I was 24 years old getting blackout drunk on vodka and Mountain Dew at Harry Potter 3.
buddy of mine drank vodka Mountain Dew till he's his lower 30s. I was
It still happens.
kind of surprised.
I can't say that I have, but you know, I had those days of shitty flavored vodka and Sprite, and yeah, I've definitely partaken in that for lack of. Oh,
You got to learn at some
those
point
hangovers.
what's what.
those are the worst hangovers ever.
If it ain't Fleischmann's, you ain't trying, right?
Green apple Smirnoff. That was the thing in high school. I don't know why, but it was.
There was a lot of things in high school that I
Yeah.
mean, Old English. I drank that fairly often. And
Yeah.
I can't say. I think I maybe
Edward
had
40
it once.
hands.
it was cheap and
We
effective.
did it with PBR 40s. That was our. I think they make those, right?
Man, those OE, Edward 40 hands.
When there's an extra E on the spelling, you know it's a bad idea. Something's going on there. We have a little bit more time, real quick. I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, where do you think Eagle Park will be in the near future, in 5 years? What's coming for your wonderful brewery here?
Well, we just added MK Brewing in the last 6 months, which has been
That's pretty cool.
Super cool.
Just happy to see that.
Yeah, it was one of the. Oddly enough, it was the first brewery that we had ever collabed with, when collaborations were kind of a new concept.
Wait, they're working together? The Power Rangers and the Turtles?
It was and oddly, the crazy thing is, it was with Dave.
Because he used to work for him.
Yeah, he was the head brewer at Milwaukee Ale House. And so my first ever collab was with Dave, and now Dave's our production manager. And Andy, who's one of our brewers and, maintenance and barrel manager, he was a shift brewer there for like 7 years as well. So they had started working for us in the last, couple of years. And when Max and I first started drinking craft beer, they were definitely on our list of, just because of the proximity between, MKE and Lakefront. Those are definitely some of the first things we were exposed to
yeah.
as far as local craft beer.
those are the big names.
Those were really the only ones. I mean, as far as Milwaukee craft beer in 2012, 2011, when we kind of first started drinking craft beer, I think that was it. Sprecher.
Yeah.
I used
Right?
to say, when people used to say Milwaukee is Brew City, like 7-8 years ago, I go, yeah, not really.
They make beer there.
Yeah, they do, but I'm not impressed. Like,
Variety.
after I was in San Diego like 12 years ago or
Oh,
whatever,
yeah.
13 years ago, I'm like, yeah, I think Brew City's here or Denver, not
Denver,
Milwaukee.
yeah.
I get the historical part of Milwaukee, though. There's a lot of cool stuff there, but it just surprisingly seeing how that was, and Madison probably had more to offer, maybe.
There was
for
more craft breweries.
breweries.
I think there was more craft breweries in
Until
Madison than there were in
the boom in Milwaukee, and I love seeing it. Love seeing where it's at now. So
It's changed a lot, and I think that's the thing for us. What we're trying to do is just to continue to expand our kind of horizons and always continue to look forward into new styles. But apart from new styles, I think the biggest thing we've invested our time in is quality and consistency. This last year, we've added. We have lab equipment. We have and growing the lab. We have a full-time quality manager that we didn't have before, and our quality has gone up immensely since adding him. And we're expanding currently. We're bringing a new brew house in, new packaging equipment, new kegging equipment, and it's all designed for efficiency. Not only from efficiency of materials, but labor as well, trying to make it as fast as possible and with as least amount of wear and tear on the body.
Yeah.
Working in a brewery is really rough on your body. I mean, moving kegs around all day, standing in the same place, picking cans off a line and building pallets and wrapping them.
It's hard work.
Yeah, it's really hard work.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to focus really hard on taking care of our staff, growing the program, growing our quality, and then with the products that we have, we've completely redone our year-round lineup coming out soon here for Eagle Park. And we just want to be the ultimate craft brewery is, not only are you getting a really unique products from us, but they're going to be quality. And I think the biggest thing that we've seen change in our industry over the last even year has been, there's been a lot of breweries over the last couple that jumped on, the trendy beer styles, and they didn't really look into how to properly package them, how to properly brew them.
Yeah.
And they just were like, you know what, I can charge $20 a 4-pack, $24 a 4-pack. Let's fucking do it. And I think it burnt out a lot of consumers because they wanted to constantly try these new products. And how many times did you get burned from trying a new product? And you're like, well, that's a waste of $24.
I keep telling people the great thing about Drafty is that we know who makes what styles so good.
Well,
and
that's because, Josh, you voraciously drink all craft beer, and you know.
We drink a lot of beer, like me and Alex. We drink so.
You curate the list because you know what you're selling.
Well, yeah,
That's
exactly.
important.
We do the work for you. But yeah, you come to our establishment, you're going to see Eagle Park on tap. You're going to see Phase 3 Hop Butcher now, and
You were the first place to get Drecker in.
we're definitely up there. We're the
With
top
Wisconsin.
account in Wisconsin. One of the top 3 accounts in Wisconsin the first year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to us being in Watertown, small town.
But yeah, when every brewery is putting out a $24 4-pack of milkshake IPAs, and I'll try it, and then you try some brewery that makes one horrible, and you waste $24. I'm like, I don't like milkshake IPAs anymore. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to try buying.
You're
those.
seeing
you go
less
back
and
to your
less
old
of those
favorites.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we still have a market for milkshake IPAs in our tap rooms. We've kind of conditioned our
'Cause bottoms up is
clientele,
great.
to drink it. But I mean, I think that fatigue has been purely set in just because of how many times people have been burned spending that much money. And our philosophy has been, for the longest time, it was let's just keep releasing new products. Mm-hmm. We want to continue to release new products, but we want to make sure when we do release it, it is 100% quality. We're incredibly happy. Everything about the recipe we're happy with. Not to say that we weren't doing that before, but there definitely was time constraints in how we did things back then versus what we have now. And we've invested in the equipment that has allowed us to really spend the time to develop something before we release it. And I think creating that consistency and quality with our customers is only going to help us kind of grow looking into the future, is because they know when they drink our beer, they know they're going to get something they're going to enjoy, and they can trust Eagle Park as a whole. They might not like the particular style of beer,
But you can rely that it is a good beer.
yes.
But they might love the other style that they're going to try next.
And
you
Eagle Park has gotten to the point now where, how many states are you guys in?
3, and that was the other thing.
You're
is-
only in 3 states.
so
I
we've
would've-
pulled back.
Okay.
And for that exact reason.
Yeah.
We didn't, during COVID, it was definitely a go situation. Let's sell as much beer as we can. Let's make sure we get through it. So we were sending pallets all over the place. And people were, to our knowledge, it was selling through super quick. But once we got out of COVID and we didn't have to move that kind of product, our biggest concern was shelf turds, right? Is sending this beer to this place and wondering, is it going to, be there for 3 months, 4 months? What is people's opinion going to be of Eagle Park if that happens? So if we can't control the situation, we're not going to be a part of it. So we've partnered with distributors and pulled back to where we feel comfortable controlling the quality of our product.
Yeah.
And I'd rather sell more beer and go deeper into our 3 territories, Wisconsin, all of Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, and Eastern Minnesota, than just spreading it everywhere and fucking our name up even worse. I want quality.
Yeah. First impression will be enough to have somebody never try a beer again.
Especially nowadays, because there's so many breweries. So, I mean, most people only give breweries at most 2 chances before they pull back.
Yeah. I've definitely been to a few where I went in and it was a horrible experience, and then I didn't give it a try for another year.
Yeah.
And then I went in and was like, oh, it's actually good now. But I might have just went on a fluke day or had one weird batch, and that's all it takes.
It happens. It's kind of, you have the ones you definitely preference in certain styles and overall beer, but, trying out everyone's stuff is just part of the deal,
And I think that's going to be the biggest thing for us and breweries, and the good breweries in general, is we've had such a boom in volume of craft breweries, I think we're going to see definitely a slowdown of new breweries, and I think we're going to see a lot of breweries that are tired of doing it, the grind of being a brewery, and I think you're going to see a lot of breweries that probably shouldn't have opened a brewery, or
Yeah, we've already been seeing that.
Yeah, and
locally, there's a few.
you're going to see a lot of growth. The oversaturation is going to thin out, and you're going to see a lot of growth in the breweries that have established themselves as quality craft breweries.
Yeah.
That can brew the traditional stuff really well, but are also able to innovate and to push the boundaries a little bit. And I think over the next 5 years, you're going to see a pretty huge shakeout of breweries, especially in that kind of middle tier, of that like 5 to 20,000 barrel range. I think you're going to see the biggest shakeout. I don't think it'll really affect local, neighborhood breweries very much. The big guys I think are going to be fairly unaffected. They'll just keep adapting and changing, like Miller, release something for, 6 months and then kill it and then come up with something new.
Miller Fortune and
That's pretty much been the name of the game for like Dogfish Head and these breweries is they'll come out with a new product, they'll keep it around for a year and they'll come up with another new product and they'll put everything they have into that new product. They'll show that they grew 2.5% to kind of dissuade from them losing on 60 Minute and everything over here, and they'll just rinse and repeat and they'll be fine, right? Because they've got money behind them. But I think the 5 to 20,000 barrel range is going to be where you're going to see the most shakeout.
Josh, do you have any other questions for Jackson?
Actually, yeah, kind of a big one. You're distilling. How long have you guys been distilling, and how's your bourbon tasting right now that you're aging?
So we opened this, when we opened this facility, we added our still. It's a 250 gallon specific mechanical. Sorry. They're out of Vancouver. And so we've been doing that for 3 years now. So our oldest whiskey is only about a little over 2 years old, because when we opened during COVID, we were a little terrified to be putting down tons of money. I mean,
of course.
A barrel of whiskey costs us anywhere from, $1,200 to $2,000 a barrel to put away. So, we're a small distillery, so we don't have that economy of scale like that our brewing side has. Or, like a Jack Daniel's where it costs them like $75 to $100 a barrel to put away. It's a pretty big difference in cost.
Sure.
It's about 2 years old. We've been majority making a lot of single malt whiskey.
Yeah,
has been our big thing. New oak has been really hard to get, so that's affected our bourbon.
Do you
program.
have an aim how long you plan on aging?
5 years.
5 figured
is going to be. So we've got a couple more years left on our whiskey, but so far what we've been tasting is really, really cool.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of new oak single malt, and we've got a bunch of used oak bourbon. It's all, the used oak is all bourbon. We like a lot of Willet and Elijah Craig. And Heaven Hill barrels that we use for our single malt.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so far so good. We're ramping up whiskey production pretty aggressively. We're now, our goal is about 175 barrels this year of whiskey, which up until then the most that we've ever put away in a year was like, I think 25 or 30. So pretty big increase. And I kind of took over the program in the last year and a half. Our old distiller, his name was Jordan. He was the head distiller at Breckenridge. And he kind of came in during COVID, trained me up, and then kind of moved on to his next, opportunity. Does a lot of consulting, so that's kind of what he does.
Cool.
Spirit's been a really fun thing for us. It's a lot more of a low and slow type growth method compared to beer.
Rounds out the tap room.
Yeah, it's great for the tap room. Definitely brings in a different clientele we've been able to experiment with.
The cheesecake liqueurs are very popular with my family.
Yes.
Not gonna lie, that's tasty.
Yeah, not great for the waistline, but it is really tasty.
Any new spirits? Anything fun, different coming up?
So this summer for our anniversary party, we did a port cask finished bourbon. So it's it was at the time it was 3.5-4-year-old bourbon that spent a year in red and white port casks. That turned out really, really cool. So that'll be coming out for our anniversary party on, I think it's June 17th. It's a Saturday, I want to say. I think that's the date. That, and then we just came out with a mint cheesecake cream liqueur.
Oh yeah, the Shamrock Shake style, basically.
Yeah, that turned out really, really good. And then we just installed a pilot still. So it's a 50-gallon pilot still.
Nice.
So our goal is to start playing around with some different gins. I have a recipe that I wrote for an absinthe, though we have to see if it's any good. I'll probably have to make tweaks on it. Absinthe's really hard to get dialed in. But a lot of gins. I love... first one is going to be a London Dry. I really enjoy London Dry gin. Mm-hmm. Very simple recipe. I mean, it's basically your juniper, your coriander, which is your base, and that makes up, like, in a London Dry, like 80 to 90% of your botanicals. And then it's a lime and lemon peel, and then a little bit of almond for mouthfeel, and to get some of that kind of oiliness that you get from a London Dry. And that's it. So I'm super excited for that one. I think we're going to be doing that right after Joint Fest. Joint Fest is kind of taking up a big part of our...
It's a big event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we did 11 different products.
A lot of collaborations.
Yeah,
right?
11 different collabs.
Yeah.
11 completely different beers, and we made all of them in-house over the last 4 weeks. So
I was at your first one. That was a fun time. Hope to make it this weekend, right?
Yes.
Saturday.
Yeah, I think this one's going to blow that one out of the water as far as just sheer products. I don't think there's a bad beer in. I thought
So I have to drink 11 beers that day. Is
essentially,
what you're
yeah.
saying. Okay.
Yeah. I was nervous the whole time because there were some weird ones. Like the Drecker one is super weird.
What is the Drecker one?
I expect that.
It's
Drecker,
a lemon push pop. So it's Sicilian lemon with a seltzer base, and it's soft serve mix, and it literally tastes like lemon sherbet, like
ice cream.
Yeah, like if I put it in an ice cream
Soft serve.
machine, you'd be like, "Holy shit, that's amazing!" It's like lemon soft serve. The brewing project is a bushwhacker style, which is like the cocktail. So it's like cream of coconut, coffee, cacao nibs, nutmeg, and we use a rum flavor in it.
That sounds interesting.
It's turned out really cool. Hop Butcher is an open top fermented double hazy IPA with like a thiolized strain, yeast strain, just a total juice bomb, what you'd expect. Riwaka, Motueka, super cool hops. Topping Goliath is a triple hazy IPA, turned out amazing.
Heard of them before.
Yeah, yeah, they do good IPAs, a couple. So yeah, barrel aged beer. The Essential Waters is crazy. It's we went up and picked 4 barrels from their warehouse.
yeah.
So and then they came down and picked 4 of our barrels. And
was that a blend then? Or?
yeah, it's a cuvee. We have like 24-month Naughty Water, 12-hour barley wine from us.
Yeah.
There's an oat wine barrel that's like 28 months from us. There's a couple different stouts from us. From them, there's 2 different stouts. One was 43 months old, and one was like 36 months old.
Getting there.
So it's nuts, and the blend turned out. It's one of the most complex barrel aged beers I think I've ever had. So yeah, I don't think there'll be a bad.
Yeah, you've had a busy couple months getting ready for this.
Is that going to be more of a trend in the barrel aging game? I remember when I was out in Denver a couple years ago, I noticed Cricket Stave had some 50-month-old stouts, and they actually blew my... I didn't expect much because they're more known for their traditional sours.
Yeah.
But, man, they blew my mind. I'm like, these are top-notch. Like, holy crap, I didn't know you guys made stouts at all, and you're whipping this at me? Like, what is this? Like, yeah, we try to age them at least 5 years. I'm like, what?
That 5 years is a long time.
Yeah.
I think definitely the sweet spot from most is 18 to 24. I don't really find
Sure.
much beyond that. But certain barrels, certain beers can go longer and create really cool profiles in blends. I
Sure.
will say, like, I've had some stuff that's that's 48 months, 4 years old, 5 years old, that blended together, I think can get muted.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't there so much, like, I forgot what brewery I was talking to a long time ago, and they were basically trying to tell me, like, it kind of stops capturing as much unique flavors from the oak after about 9 months or so, 12 months.
Yeah, it just gets muted, and it can thin out a little bit.
And that's why you're seeing some of these breweries say Elijah Craig barrels, then a Heaven Hill barrel, then a this barrel.
Well, and the double barreling is cool. And I think double barreling, I've seen actually, I didn't think it'd be worth it, but I find that it is definitely worth it.
You get some really unique, just top-notch stouts.
Well, and just in general, especially when you're starting mixing between bourbons and ryes, and like right now for our anniversary party, we took our Naughty Water, it's a 12-hour boil barley wine that we aged for 2 years in bourbon barrels, and it spent the last 6 months in peach brandy barrels. And it's one of the coolest beers I think we've ever made. It tastes like grilled peaches, with like brown sugar, where you get that caramelized with bourbon and just
Central Waters did one recently, and I was actually quite a fan of it. Didn't know how that go over, fruited.
Was
barley.
that the orange?
It was the peach barley wine.
They did peach barley.
And I don't know if that was Milwaukee only, but it was a little different out of the can than it was on tap, though. There's a bit of a difference. It was actually a little better on tap, just what it is. But it worked. So looking forward to yours, because love Naughty Water.
Double barrel's cool. I think that's definitely gonna be a feature, and you get the booze out of it too. I mean, like it got up to like 17% from just double barreling it.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
More drinkable.
Yes. Well, that 608 for Joint Fest got up to like 17.5. So I looked at the menu and I'm like, shit, they're all pretty high ABV.
It's craft beer.
Yeah.
Well, I got to work that night. We have some kind of weird event at Drafty's, but we're trying to go to the fest.
It's tough when you only have 3 bartenders, and you're one of them.
Yeah, exactly. We're small.
Good news is if you get the VIP package, and then we have the extra 6-pack of the Lion's Tail Brewing Project and the MKE collab. It's you can get all the beers, so you'll be able to take it all home and try it at home.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We're trying to come, try what we can, pace and hang out and sober up for an hour or two.
You know how to drink. I've seen you drink a lot and maintain composure, which I can't do.
Well,
I'm a
professional.
We were out in Portland. What brewery were we at?
Was it Great Notion?
No, the other one.
Hair of the Dog?
No, the one that I left an entire case of beer on our rented vehicle overnight.
Oh, geez, brain work.
They're not from Portland originally. They're from San Diego originally.
Modern Times.
I bought a case worth of very expensive beer, some of them like $20 cans.
Some of those Modem Tones.
I don't remember leaving the brewery.
Monsters Park.
And I left it on top of our rental car overnight, and it rained all night. And I woke up in the morning and went out, and it was still sitting
there.
on.
Well, that's good.
And I think they must have thought it was a trap when I was walking by.
They're like, Portland, I've been all over, but I assumed someone homeless would have snagged all that and had a great night.
Yeah, I mean, I would have. You could have had a great week. Those are some big beers. I guess if I was homeless, I'd probably be drinking more.
Yeah, just drink them.
Yeah,
I would have drank them.
I'd just drink them.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, you got your beer back.
Luckily, we got the beer back. Before we go, I'm going to rapid fire some questions to you. Don't think about them. Just say what comes to your mind, okay? Favorite beer you've ever brewed?
Set list.
Favorite beer from another brewery?
Bell's Two Hearted.
What's your favorite domestic style of beer?
Coors Banquet.
Most underrated style of beer?
Pilsner.
Most overrated style of beer?
Pastry stouts.
Okay, that's all that I had. Anything else from you, Josh?
I chimed in, I think, on what would be good to cover, but
yeah we've had a very full, wonderful episode.
Yes.
Apologize if I spoke too much.
No, the reason we wanted you on is to hear you speak. So we apologize if we spoke too much. But thank you so much for your time today, Jackson. I've been wanting to have you on an episode for a while because I love and respect what you do, and I drink a lot of your beer, so thank you from me and my stomach. And not my liver,
you.
maybe, I don't know.
I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate what you do for the Wisconsin craft beer community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate that I get to do what I love, and people love it. So
Keep it up.
I'm happy.
Heck
So,
yeah.
thank
I think
you.
we're all happy. Yeah.
Let's have another beer, huh?
I think so.
agree.
It's actually what I'm thinking about. My glass is empty.
You're the man, Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to our very first episode of Beer and Now. Hopefully we're going to be having some more upcoming episodes in the series where we talk to local members of the beer community here in Milwaukee. Here, the Dogcast is part of the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network. Make sure to check out all the other amazing shows. If you want access to a whole bunch of exclusive episodes way in advance, access to our Discord, and a lot of other awesome perks, check out patreon.com/Hair of the Dogcast. We'd love to have you join our community. And special thanks to executive producers Ryan Krisianik, Brian Ward, Kip, Phil Wright, and Jordan Hoff. And thanks for everyone else's support. If you have a chance to write a review or leave a like on whatever you're listening to, we'd really appreciate that. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.